the Evocation Gale. One of the more powerful mage builds I've been working with. Now, this is a pure wizard, so expect some good amount of options with spells and the ability to obviously get any other spell in the game just by learning them. As we start off, we are obviously going to pick wizard. Cantrips doesn't really matter, but we are going in evocation, so I've chosen each one of the evocation spells: Firebolt, Shocking Grasp, and Ray of Frost. With the level 1 spells, we've of course gone with Mage Armor, an absolute staple and required for all wizards, mage types out there. Gone Thunderwave because of its utility in taking out large groups, throwing them off cliffs in the early games. Very, very helpful. And Chromatic Orb to deal a lot of damage on whatever kind of element we want. We have a few support skills here, like Shield, which is incredibly amazing when you're taking ranged attacks or really any attacks in general. And Witch Bolt, which is, in my opinion, a terrible spell, but it is a lightning spell that we were able to use early on. As for attributes, we have Strength at 8, Dexterity at 13, Constitution at 14, Intellect at 17, Wisdom at 12, and Charisma. We are going to actually alter that to be 8, 15, 14, 17, 12, and 8. We don't need Charisma. We're not charismatic. Although the character may be charismatic, the build does not utilize any charisma-based things. So we are going to just chuck that into dexterity to allow us to have a little bit more tankiness and survive more saves. As for skills, we are going with Investigation and Insight. These two are very good for traveling around with your party. Having a very high Investigation and Insight skill is certainly helpful. Continue, so that is level 1. Next, we are going to keep leveling him up. This is, again, a pure wizard build designed for obscene amounts of damage and controlling the battlefield with AoEs. So, as I said, subclass Evocation. Straight away, we get Sculpt Spell. Create pockets of safety within your evocation spells. Allies automatically succeed the saving throws against these spells and take no damage from them. Incredibly useful. Very useful, so we don't kill our party while we are absolutely blowing up around us. First couple of skills, I usually go with these ability skills here, just because of their utility in the early game, all the way to late game. They're just so useful. I'm going to just leave this for the time being. Actually, we'll get rid of Hold Monster and grab Cone of Ice. Actually, no. Scorch Ray. Scorch Ray is an incredible spell that I use all the way till endgame. I did not realize we got that so early. Alright, next lot of spells. Wizard level up, we gain additional spell slots. Next lot of spells is Cloud of Daggers, incredibly useful area denial spell. Pop this down on a doorway that people have to come through. They have to take damage as they're coming through. Next up, we have Misty Step, the best traversal spell in the game. You want this. Absolutely, 100% you want this. Now we're heading up to level 4. This is our real power boost. We're going to get another cantrip, Light. Light is incredibly useful in the Act 2 and does become useful in Act 3 as well. So it is never not useful. The spells we want now are Shatter. And we also want... Where is it? Magic Missile. So Shadow does thunder damage, which is a great additional damage, but it also allows us to do a big burst of damage in an AoE. And against non-flesh enemies, very powerful. And Magic Missile is honestly just a staple, really. Now we are going to go with Warcaster. Warcaster is incredibly important for the concentration. So we're going to be using spells like Haste and such on our allies. Having an advantage on saving throws to maintain concentration is incredibly important as we go through the game. The additional reaction to Shocking Grasp for enemies moving out of melee range is kind of just icing on the cake. It just comes with it. But what we're really after is that bonus to concentration. Moving on to level 5. We get more spell slots and even more spells. Straight away, Fireball. As soon as you get a Fireball, get Fireball. 100%. And Haste. Because you're going to be popping Haste on your allies at the start of the turn. Whoever is your highest damage dealer, you want this bad boy on them while you're throwing out Fireballs. New subclass feature of the Evocation. Your cantrips become harder to evade entirely. When a creature succeeds its saving throw against one of your cantrips, it still takes half damage. It takes half of the cantrip's damage, but suffers no additional effect. So this is really good when you just want to throw out a little, fire spark, whatever it's called. Very, very, very handy. Next, we want to grab Glyph of Warding. Absolutely amazing skill. Again, more AoE damage. You can select a type of damage, whether it be push damage, ice damage, lightning damage, fire damage, and so on. Incredibly, incredibly good spell. Next, you're going to grab Hypnotic Pattern. A great control spell for large groups. That's kind of just it. It's an amazing control spell. I'm going to go ahead and remove these for the prepared spells and add these two bad boys. I'm going to remove this. So this is what, level 6? Level 6, we should be starting Act 2. So we can get rid of Thunderwave now. And add Lightning Bolt, get rid of Witch Bolt. Add Misty Step. Yeah, that's actually a really good setup. You can swap out one of your damage skills, for example, Cone of Ice, for Cloud of Daggers. It's always a good option. But I like the ability to send out all kinds of elements. So I'm going to stick with the core 3, Lightning, Fire, and Ice. Level 7 should be still in LE Act 2. Straight away, Conjure Elemental. Being able to conjure a elemental ally is incredibly important. You always want a ally up when you're going into a hostile area or when you know that a fight is coming up. You want to pop that bad boy up. Next is Wall of Fire. 100% you want this. This is also a concentration spell. So it gets benefits from our concentration trait from Warcaster. Now, Wall of Fire is one of the most damaging abilities in the game. You can click an area, extend the wall out, and cover an entire entryway. So people have to run through the fire to get to you. If you are fighting undead or other enemies that are weak to fire, they won't be able to get close to you. This thing will kill them. before they even get anywhere near you. You can use it offensively as well by placing it underneath the feet of enemies that are high up or you just can't quite get to. So they either burn to death or they have to move. We're going to go ahead and get rid of Cone of Ice at this level. Add Wall of Fire. Get rid of, I don't know why Witch Bolt was there, and add the Minor Elemental. Level 8, we should be coming up to the end of Act 2. We are going to be grabbing the Dimension Door. Incredibly useful for getting you and your party around. It's an additional traversal skill, much just like Misty Step. Very good to have. Other one is Ice Storm. Ice Storm is very situational, but very good when you're going to go into an area where there's a lot of enemies that are immune to fire. Next up, we have our level 8 feat. This one's going to go straight into boosting our skills. Boom. 18 intellect, 16 dexterity. They're going to be rather tanky. Next up, we have our level 5 skills. This one, there's really not many options that I like. Dominate Person is cool. Telekinesis is really cool. You get to throw things around. But really, all I want us to get is that Conjure Elemental. That Conjure Elemental is absolutely amazing. So let's have a look at some lower level skills then that might be useful for us. For example, let's say Enlarge and Reduce. This is more of a utility. You can reduce the size of your party members and allow them to squeeze through smaller areas. Again, not really 100% required. It's more of a utility item. So we are going to remove our old summon and add in some more things like this. So we have more level 4 and 5 spells. Moving up to level 10, we get our next subclass feature, which is Empower Evocation. Your grasp of Evocation magic is tightened and you can add your intellect modifier to damage rolls with any Evocation spell. That is insane. So the more we use Evocation spells, like the more Evocation spells we do, the more damage we output. Very, very useful. Let's see, what cantrip should we use? Mage Hand, can't go wrong. Alright, again, I don't really care too much for the rest of the level 5s, so we're going to fill up our area with lower level utility. For example, Counterspell. Ooh, should have gotten that a lot earlier. Make sure you get this a lot earlier. Also, we'll grab the Resilient Sphere, rather. Yes, as soon as Counterspell becomes available to you, grab it. I'm very much mistaken for not doing that. Coming up to level 11, we have our first level 6 spells. Now, I mean, the problem with these is they're so expensive. You don't get many high-level spell slots that you can use. So, honestly, pick what you want, because we're probably not going to be using them. I honestly would suggest using your 6th level spell slot to up-level the Elemental into a Myrmidon, I believe they're called. So we're going to use our 6th level to up-level our summon, rather than having other things going on. What we'll do, we'll chuck a cloud of daggers in there. Again, selecting lower level skills because they are more useful to us than the high level skills. Even Wall of Ice, I found wasn't super useful. So at this point, just grab what you kind of want. Now, our final feat is obviously going to go into ability improvement to get our intellect up to 20, so we get the maximum amount of damage coming out of our invocation spells using our sub skill, empowered evocation. So that's pretty much it for the build. Now having a look at the armor, we're going to just pop this. And obviously that increases up to 19, which is a solid number. Very solid for a caster. There's really no suggestions I can give for items. Everyone will have their own preference. I do use quick spell gloves though. Cantrips that cost an action cost a bonus action instead, once per short rest. So every short rest we get an additional cantrip attack, which of course is going to be Firebolt. A very, very good spell. I do have a staff. I have no idea where I got it from. Very sorry for that. But I do use a staff called Incandescent Staff, which gives us an additional Firebolt and an additional Fireball to use without spending a spell slot. For the Evocation Wizard, I feel this is one of the best staffs you could get. A free Fireball, absolutely amazing. Even though it's just the base level, it's still incredible. And that's pretty much it. So for fighting strategies, you want to start with a Misty Step to position yourself. This is classed as a bonus action, so you still get the ability to use a spell. You should already have your Conjure Myrmidon out, which as you can see, up leveling to level 6. You should have already have him out before a fight. And then you're going to want to start casting your Wall of Fire to deny a area. Both Wall of Fire and Cloud of Daggers are concentration, so you're going to want to pick which is best for the situation. And then just start throwing out fireballs, start throwing out ice storms and lightning bolts to your heart's content. If you want to do a lot of single target damage, Scorching Ray is probably the best for that. Just because of the sheer amount of damage that spell does. And let's have a look at our listed powers. I have gone ahead and chosen the Favorable Beginnings and the Luck of the Far Realms to give us a higher ability to hit with our first lot of attacks. I've also gone with Concentration Blast, which I don't really use, but I've used it to go to Psionic Backlash, which, when an enemy within 9 meters casts a spell, you can use your reaction to inflict a 1d4 psychic damage to the caster per spell level. Which is great, because it's just a reaction. It's an additional little bit of damage that you can cast on your enemies. Now, Concentration Blast, as I said, I don't use it too often, but you will have concentration up pretty much all the time, so it is an additional spell option that you can use. And it does 3d6 psychic and heals you if the target was concentrating. So it's kind of a good utility spell, but I honestly would prefer using other spells over this spell. I would always throw out a fireball, then throw out a concentrated blast. Another thing that I want to point out for this build is always have scrolls on you. Now, any spell of fire spell or any real spell that you don't have equipped, you're gonna want like 1 or 2 scrolls. I just finished a major fight, so I'm very low on scrolls. But you're gonna want to keep your scrolls. Don't sell them, keep them, chuck them on the wizard, because the whole deal about a wizard is its situational superiority. If you see a monster that is causing lots of issue to your party, bang, we have a scroll of hold monster. Problem solved. You want to pop down another wall. You're out of skill slots, but you want to pop down another fire wall. Wall of fire. Boom. Another wall of fire. You can't use your dimension door anymore. Boom. Dimension door. I cannot stress how important scrolls are for the wizard. Have them, keep them, use them. That's pretty much it. If you've made it this far, please like and subscribe. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.